Dorney Park's wait for a new coaster is finally over. In 2024, Dorney Park will be opening Iron Menace, a B&M dive coaster. Before we get into some of the specifics of Iron Menace as a ride, I have to talk about Dorney Park as a park. Why has it taken so long for them to get a new coaster? Dorney Park is on the lower end of the Cedar Fair chain. Their last coaster was added in 2012 with Steiner, but it was removed just 5 years after that. Hydra the Revenge was the last original coaster to be added here, and that was all the way back in 2005. So by the time Iron Menace opens, it will have been 19 years in between coasters essentially. Iron Menace is not a huge roller coaster. It only stands 160 feet tall, and it only has 2,169 feet of track. That being said, this coaster will reach speeds of 64 miles an hour, and it will have 4 inversions with a drop of 95 degrees. One of the downsides with Iron Menace is the fact that the ride time is only about 25 seconds once you go down that first drop. This makes it a pretty short ride, and I think comparisons can be drawn to Emperor at SeaWorld San Diego for a few different reasons. Emperor stands 7 feet shorter and has 1 less inversion, but the main commonality between the two is that there's no second drop. On a lot of B&M dive coasters, there's a vertical or a near vertical drop similar to the main drop at the beginning of the ride. This slows down the pacing because it often comes after a really slow mid-course brake run, but it is kind of an interesting element. Because those two dive coasters don't have that element, the ride time is shorter, but the pacing is better, so take your pick. The theme of this attraction is a 1930s abandoned steel factory, which could be really cool, but how much is Dorney Park going to flesh that out? I really don't know. This isn't exactly a park, or quite frankly a chain, that's known for great theming, even though Cedar Fair has been getting a little better at that in recent years. I find the addition of a B&M dive coaster interesting, but I think it's an okay fit for Dorney Park. It'll be their third B&M looping coaster. That being said, I think a multi-launch, multi-inversion coaster would have worked better here, but I don't know if Cedar Fair has that type of budget for a park like Dorney. Next, let's get into Iron Menace's actual layout. This is the part that we know for sure will be part of the opening day experience. You ascend the 160-foot tall lift hill immediately out of the station, and when you get to the top, you have a 3-second holding break. After that holding break, you have your 95-degree plunge. Because of the vest restraints, it probably won't have very good airtime, just because I've heard that those types of restraints limit the airtime, but it would still be a fun maneuver going down at 95 degrees. This is tied for the steepest drop on a dive coaster with Dr. Diabolical's Cliffhanger. After the first drop, like every other dive coaster, you maneuver through an Immelman. From here, you go through a barrel roll. Sometimes these are about the whip, and sometimes they're about the hang time, but this one looks to have some pretty decent speed. From here comes a very interesting maneuver, an incline vertical loop. We've seen this incline loop maneuver on a few different roller coasters worldwide, but it's interesting to see it on a B&M dive coaster. When you watch the POV, it almost looks like it's going to feel like an overbank turn. Obviously, it's not the same thing, but I wonder if it will feel similar to an overbank or more like a vertical loop. Iron Menace has one more inversion up its sleeve, a corkscrew, after which you have a left-hand turn into the brakes. This coaster only really has 6 elements: the drop, the turn at the end, and the 4 inversions. Since we're 19 years removed from Dorney Park's last original coaster, I think fans will pretty much be happy with anything, but was this the right addition? While this does give this park a beyond vertical drop, which is a draw, I still feel like there are better coasters they could have gone with, maybe one of those wow coasters. Something like an Intamin multi-launch would have been really nice here, but I don't know if Cedar Fair is willing to build another Intamin. Regardless, I feel like this coaster is going to be a lot of fun, and for Dorney Park, it's better than nothing, but there could have been better options here. Cedar Fair as a company is getting more interesting because now they have given a new coaster to Worlds of Fun with Zambezi's Inner and Dorney Park with this B&M dive coaster. Zambezi's Inner, and Iron Menace for that matter as well, aren't the biggest and most expensive coaster additions, but Cedar Fair is still paying attention to their smaller parks. This is Worlds of Fun's 50th anniversary, so the addition of Zambezi's Inner makes sense from that perspective. Dorney Park doesn't have that factor, so the addition is interesting. The other two parks at the bottom of the Cedar Fair chain would be Valley Fair and Michigan's Adventure. So are those two parks going to get new roller coasters coming up soon? Honestly, for Michigan's Adventure especially, I doubt it. Valley Fair's last major thrill coaster was in 2007, and for Michigan's Adventure, if you're counting original coasters only, it goes all the way back to 1998. So it's possible that Cedar Fair is paying attention to their smaller parks, and maybe we'll see something extreme come to Valley Fair or Michigan's Adventure, but I'm just very doubtful about it. In the meantime, Dorney Park is finally getting a new roller coaster, even if it may not be the best addition out there. I think Iron Menace will do a lot for this park's lineup, and hopefully that park sees a jump in attendance. But those are just my thoughts. What are your thoughts on Iron Menace coming to Dorney Park for the 2024 season? Let me know down in the comments, and stay tuned for more. I'll see you next time.